One of my successes in recent times has been to lead for the Parliament on the issue of the Globalisation Fund. Now, this is a fund that was set up to help redundant workers across the EU when they lose their jobs due to globalisation. And, for example, workers in Dell, in Limerick, and Talk and Waterford, and also Waterford Glass workers and SR Technics workers have indeed benefited from this fund. And my role has been twofold, if you like. First of all, as I said, I was the lead negotiator for the Parliament to ensure the continuation of this fund beyond 2014. And while there were a lot of reservations from the European Council and some member states actively did not want this Globalisation Fund to be put in place, nonetheless, the Parliament has led a very strong campaign for the last 3 years, and I've headed that campaign to try to ensure this fund remains in place. And we have succeeded. We now have a €1 billion fund that will run for the next 7 years. So for workers who lose their jobs due to globalisation, there is the possibility of some money for retraining, for upskilling, perhaps for starting your own business, etc. And I consider that to be a major success. The other point I want to relate to is to do with Ireland directly. About 3 years ago, I went to see a number of agencies, including the BMW Regional Assembly and others, to say that I believed Ireland should apply for the Globalisation Fund for those who had lost their jobs in the construction industry. We did a lot of background work on this, and eventually we went to the department, and I insisted that the department would make an application for the Globalisation Fund for these workers. Eventually they did, and there was a fund of €35 million available for these workers. I'm sorry to say the department did not run the fund as well as they should have, and not nearly as many people benefited from it as should have. However, I was the chief instigator of it. I saw to it that this happened, that the application went in, the fund was there, and I take credit for doing that work. The Globalisation Fund is not a panacea, doesn't solve all our problems, but for some workers, for those who find themselves without employment, it can be a helping hand and to allow you to take the next step through, as I said, retraining, upskilling, or maybe even looking at the possibility of starting your own business.